Yo, peace was good. Welcome to another hip hop album review. This is part 151. The album that I will be reviewing today is MC8's solo debut album titled We Come Strapped, released in 1994. MC8 featuring Compton's Most Wanted, because he is the lead rapper of Compton's Most Wanted, but this is actually his solo debut album. So I guess he just added the name just so like to be on like some team effort shit, we're a team no matter what. So I think that's why he put that, so they can have some money in their pockets, which I think is why he did that. So which is pretty nice of him to do. All right. You guys by now should know who he is. I did a review on the first three Compton's Most Wanted albums. If you haven't peeped those, definitely check that out. I did a review on the It's a Compton Thing. I did Straight Checking Them, and I did a review on Music to Drive By. So I did a review on those. And after 1992, he landed a role on the movie Menace to Society with Lawrence Tate, Tyrone Turner, I think this is his name, and stuff like that. He played as AWACS. I thought he did a great job. And after that, he actually did a song called Straight Up Menace, and which was a pretty dope song. That's a classic West Coast song, man. Like, it had that real classic G-Funk feel to it. I really love that joint right there. That song is actually my introduction to MC8. Alright? And then he did a joint called The Murder Show off of Spice One's second album, 187 he wrote, and stuff like that. And then now he came out with this album. Alright? There's two singles off the album. The singles are All for the Money and Niggas Make the Hood Go Around. Alright? Those are the two singles off the album. Alright? You know how I get down. I'm gonna go through some of the tracks before I show you guys that. I'll show you guys the CD, what the CD looks like. Pretty cool. Kind of looks like the 8-ball from Pool. Pretty dope. Right there. You see MCA right there, and the pool table is just right there, pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? Open it up, see the 8-ball right there, by his name, MC8, alright? Look at the back right here, see two of his mans right here. I'm assuming that's MC Chill, because at that time, he had just gotten out of jail, you know what I mean? And I'm assuming this would be DJ Slip, alright? So, see them chilling right there, open it up. And it was cool about that. It was like a whole, poster, so you can hang it up. You can hang it up on your wall and shit like that. Have it as a poster. Pretty cool. See MC8 just looking on top. You see DJ Slip. And you see MC Chill just drinking right here. You know what I mean? Open it up. Pretty cool. All right. Features on the album. Let me see. If there's any features. Yeah, there's only two features which I do like, and they're Spice One and Redman. So because I don't like a whole bunch of features on the albums. Like, to me, like, it kind of shows that you don't know how to carry an album by yourself, right? But depending on the artist, you know what I mean. Unless the features themselves kind of like add on to the songs, you know what I mean. So production is done by MC8 himself and DJ Slip. All right, those are the producers of the album. Alright. You know how I get down. I'm gonna go through some of the tracks. Track 1, Niggas That Kills, the Interlude. Interlude is just like the intro, pretty much. It's like Interlude is pretty much the interlude, but Niggas That Kill, that's the intro of the song. Pretty cool. It's an intro track, just him rapping. It kind of sets the tone of the album. It has like the dark strings, the dark synth, like bass synth and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Kind of reminiscent of what would you hear on like not Straight Up Menace, but like a song like The Murder Show. If you guys heard that song, The Murder Show, like that bass line that he does, then you can kind of get the sense how the whole album would sound and stuff like that. All right. It's just him shouting people out. Track 2 is the Death Wish 3 intro. It's pretty cool. This is an interlude, it's a skit where he actually uses the scene from Deep Cover. If you guys have seen the movie Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum, it was a scene where Felix and his man's him and his henchman, I guess you could call that. And you see Lawrence Fishburne because he's playing as an undercover, and Jeff Goldblum, he plays I think his name is David in the movie. Well, Felix and David, they're in a pool hall, and Felix is taunting David and stuff like that. Just calling him a pussy and just hitting his hand and stuff like that, and it just goes in, and then he's just going in on that joint right there, and he actually uses loops from all the first two Death Wish songs, so actually which you can actually hear. But the way he does it very cleverly. So I give MC props on that joint right there, which ties into the next song, Death Wish 3. Death Wish 3 is a diss song towards DJ Quick, because you guys know that MC and DJ Quick had beef since the late 80s, early 90s. You know what I mean? So he goes in on DJ Quick on that joint right there. There was a line where he said, I wrote it down. He said, where he says, "It's time to vamp, lick my nuts like a stamp, before your ass breaks camp. You get fucked like a tramp named David. They should call you Silly Billy. Mark ass nigga get rolled like a Philly. And you don't want to see me, DJ Quick in a khaki bikini." I thought that was actually pretty funny, so I had to write that down. But yeah, as you can see, he's going in on DJ Quick. You know what I mean? So that's a diss track towards him. Track 4, Take Two with Me. It's just talk about him getting snitched on by getting snitched on, and the cops going after him. You know what I'm saying? He's in a wild goose chase with the cops and stuff like that, and that's what I got from that joint right there. Track 5, All for the Money, which I believe was the first single off the album. Uses a very familiar sample. I forgot the name of the sample, but it's mad people use that sample before. If you guys saw my review on Fat Joe's second album, Jealous One's Envy, I think it was the dedication song that the dedication song uses that same sample as well. But yeah, that sample has been used a lot. Alright, but and he just talks about just making ends meet, just by any means necessary as far as making money. He talks about robbing niggas and doing what you gotta sell them drugs, doing what you gotta do to make money. Talks about how he got kicked out of his house when he was 13 years old and stuff like that. And all for the money. And it's a relatable track because you do what you gotta do to make money. Whether it's you gotta hustle or you gotta sell stuff just to make money, all for the money. You know what I mean? So it's a definitely relatable song. You know what I mean? So track 6, Compton Psycho, one of my favorite tracks off the album. Really love the dark vibe of that song and stuff like that. Pretty dope right there. Just that paranoid feel of the song, which I really like about that joint right there. Pretty dope. I wish that could have been a single, definitely. The second single, Niggas Make the Hood Go Round, which was the second single. It just talks about the dangers of living in the hood, not just in Compton but nationwide or worldwide. Just be careful going to the hood, because you step to people wrong, niggas gonna bust a cap on that ass. You know what I'm saying? It's, niggas gonna come see you. That's all I gotta say about that. Alright, track 8, Nothing But High Interlude. It's just an interlude. It's about 3 minutes long. Just him talking throughout the song and stuff like that. It was alright. I could have left off that. I don't know. I would have left off the album, in my opinion. It's just 3 minutes too long, in my opinion. Track 9, We Come Strapped. Another of my favorite songs of the album. Really love that joint right there. Another joint that could have been a single, in my opinion. I just love the instrumentation on that song, obviously the synths, the dark bass line, and the drums, the Joe Tex drums. You guys know, all my diggers know about that. But yeah, he actually goes in on that joint right there. Supposedly that's supposed to be a a DJ Quick diss, but I read the lyrics, but I didn't see anything about him talking about DJ Quick or any subliminal, unless it's subliminal. But I didn't really hear, any diss tracks. But anyway, it is what it is. But that's a dope song right there. Another joint I felt like could have been a single. That's a self-titled track. We Come Strapped. Track 10, Can I Still Kill It? That's a more smooth track. It's just him talking about getting pussy. You know what I mean? All my peoples can relate to that. All my dudes or women that like women. You guys know how that get down. You know what I'm saying? Pretty dope. Like I said, very different compared to the rest of the songs. A lot more lighter compared to, as far as like the production wise and stuff like that. All right. Track 11, Going Out Like G's. That's pretty dope right there. It's just talking about him having a shootout with rival gang members and stuff like that. Just the way he's so descriptive about it, like how he got shot and just blood going down by just going down his body and stuff like that. Just how descriptive he is on that. Pretty dope. I really like that joint right there. Track 12, Nothing But the Gangster, featuring Spice One and Redman, which is a posse cut. Very dope joint right there. One of my favorite joints off the album as well. Another joint that could have been a single. You know what I mean? My opinion, Spice One and Redman had the best verses. MCA, he did his thing. He had 2 verses. I think he does the first verse. Spice One does the second verse. Redman does the third verse, and MCA does the fourth verse. Excuse me. But Spice One, man, he's so underrated as an MC. His flow, he has one of the illest flows in hip hop besides Ice Cube as far as the West Coast. And I feel like people don't talk about Spice One as far as flows, and he displays that in this song right here. He definitely goes in. Obviously Redman, Redman, dope MC. I've talked about him before. Did a couple of his album reviews and stuff like that. Definitely check those out when you guys get a chance. But yeah, man, they definitely go in on that joint right there. I love the piano in that joint right there. I love the strings and just everything about that song. The beat, that is a crazy beat. That's a pretty dope joint right there. Track 13, Hard Times, it's just a gangster track. It's a braggadocio track right there. Track 14, Compton Bomb. That's just a weed track right there. It's a dope. I like the beat for it. It has a dope bass line, nice guitar sample, and dope pianos. Pretty dope right there. And track 15, To the West Side Enderoo, is just the outro, just him, shouting out all his peoples, all his mans and stuff like that. Overall, good album. Definitely his best album, in my opinion. As far as solo wise, in my opinion, what's pretty cool about this album is the production. Very unique sounding compared to like West Coast artists out at the time. It's the production is something that can't be duplicated. You know what I mean? You can't duplicate that. Like if you try to make that, it's gonna sound sloppy. You can tell that you're trying to make beats like that, and like it's like I said, something you can't duplicate. You can't copy. You know what I'm saying? My only gripe with the production was that it sounded a little bit too samey. I feel like the beat sounded a little bit too much of the same, in my opinion. I wish he could have switched it up, which he did, but I don't know. But I'll cut him some slack just because of the fact that MCA, his not his first time, but I would say it would be his first time, dabbling, like doing a whole album as far as like the production. So I cut him some slack, but they're not, and they're dope beats, you know what I mean? But like I said, and they sound a lot different compared to the Compton's Most Wanted albums, because the Compton's Most Wanted albums, they were more sample based. This one was like a lot more live instrumentation, using more synths, stuff like that. You'll hear like samples here and there, maybe with the drum breaks and like some samples you know, like the sample stabs here and there and stuff like that. But yeah, man, dope album, very slept on. I rarely hear people talk about this album as far as like classic West Coast G Funk albums, and you should definitely include this in that list. And that's pretty much it, man. Might be a little bit hard to find, but if you find it, definitely pick it up. I don't think it goes for a lot of money online, or if you find it, you know, I wouldn't spend more than $10 on this album. If you find it for like $8, I would pick it up, but I wouldn't spend like $12 on this album or whatever. But it shouldn't be that expensive. But yeah, highly recommend it. If you can find it, definitely pick it up. And that's it, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. Stay tuned for more. Peace.